Hello everyone, my name is Lanso90 and welcome to another Five Nights at Freddy's video. That's, again, not an actual Let's Play of it, but one where I'm going to try to explain the complete Five Nights at Freddy's timeline, at least from my perspective and the research that I've done and how I feel about it. Now, there's a lot of debate among the people who are really familiar with the game and are trying to figure the whole thing out as to what exactly the plot is. Some of this is my own guesses, not all of this is what is generally considered completely accurate, or completely what everyone agrees on, but this is what I think is completely going on here. So I'm going to try to explain it for people who haven't watched this Five Nights at Freddy's at all, but I'll also have interesting stuff for people who are more familiar with it to learn about. So, we're going to start from the beginning here, at what I just called the earliest building. It's a weird selection thing going on there, I'm not sure why that's happening. I guess it's probably because of the pictures or something. But anyway, we're going to start with the earliest building, and this also happens to be one of the main ones that is my own opinion, or it's not exactly an opinion because there is supporting evidence for this. But yes, the earliest building. And the reason why this is my own opinion is a lot of people think Fazbear's Family Diner is the first building, and we'll be getting to that later. But the first two animatronics here are Golden Bonnie and Golden Freddy. You might also know Golden Bonnie as Springtrap, but I'm just calling him Golden Bonnie at this point because he's not really decayed or anything. Even though I use the pictures of them here where they're pretty decayed, that's because there's not really much of a picture of them before they're being decayed. I also have listed here as a secondary or possibly present animatronic as the marionette. Now, this is just a guess. This is not supported in any video evidence or anything in any of the mini games or any of that. But the marionette is probably present in all the other games as well. He's at least present in quite a few. And the other reason why he might be there is the Marionette's music box song is My Grandfather's Clock, and one of the lyrics of that song is 90 years without slumbering. And there's other parts in the song that kind of hint at this being about the marionette. So it makes me think that the marionette's been around for 90 years in total, which could put this building into the 30s, which, give or take, you can decide if you believe that or not. What happens here? The spring suits malfunction. Golden Freddy and Springtrap are not like the other animatronics. They were built so that people could get inside of them and use them as a costume. But they are also built that they can also just be animatronics. They can switch between the two. But you have to wind them up to open the animatronics so that you can get inside of it safely. And they're very sensitive, so these spring suits malfunction and kill two of the wearers. They become Shadow Bonnie and Shadow Freddy, which will become more important late into the story. These were probably two adults. These were not kids that were killed by the murder, as we'll see later. So you'll see... Actually, let's bring this up now. Oh, I have all sorts of things prepared. There's a lot to go over, guys. It's a very complicated thing. These are some screenshots of Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie from Five Nights at Freddy's 2. This is before 3 came out, which kind of built on them more. You can see, at least with Freddy, that he's very purple in color. You can't really tell so much with not Springtrap. This is not Springtrap, this is Shadow Bonnie. There's a lot of different animatronics that are the same characters, so we have to kind of get through that. But this is Shadow Bonnie and Shadow Freddy, and you can see that this one's tinted purple. The animatronics see all guards colored purple. It doesn't matter if it's the purple guy or not, they see them all as purple because their uniforms are purple. And you'll notice that when we get into the Five Nights at Freddy's 3 stuff, that is going to show Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie as purple more than black like Bonnie is here. But they don't come into importance yet. They're just, that happened at this point in the story. And the evidence for this location, again, this is one that I'm assuming is here that not everyone agrees with it is here. The outdoor minigame in Fan 3, where the animatronics can't really seem to move. Now, the moving part is up to interpretation. But this is the minigame in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, showing what I consider to be the earliest building. This appears to be outside. There's clouds above them. And this seems to be like a stage. Nothing really happens in this minigame. You just kind of stand there. You're playing as Golden Freddy. And Bonnie's just doing his thing, Springtrap. And what I meant by they can't move, as well, you can see it there. So Bonnie, he just kind of stands there bobbing back and forth, and Freddy, although he's able to move, his legs themselves aren't moving. And at this point he starts glitching through the walls and stuff. To me, this indicates that maybe at this point the animatronics are not advanced enough to move. As I said, this could be the 1930s. The music feels like it could be from the 1930s. The color palette, 1930s. This is the Great Depression era and stuff, you know? So, although technology in Five Nights at Freddy's universe is quite a bit ahead, at least in robotics, because we barely have walking robots today. Like Osimo, that's like a multi-million-dollar robot. And in his universe, Scott Cawthon's universe here, obviously, pretty much bankrupt pizzerias can afford walking animatronics. So, yeah, we have to keep that in mind. So why is this evidence specifically? Well, this is what everyone considers to be the diner over on the right here. This is the minigame from Five Nights at Freddy's 2, the minigame that establishes this as possibly the diner where the purple guy gets his first kill. You're playing just as Freddy. You see, there's no Springtrap here. Why would Springtrap be in this one and not in this one if it's the same building? There's not really a reason for that, unless this is a different building. Now, purple guy arrived. There's this kid that's been outside the window. He's really sad because he's not in on this party. Oh, there's so much to go over here. And the purple guy's about to kill him. He doesn't move his hands or anything, he just kind of stands here and the kid's eyes get bigger. And it kind of implies strangulation to me as the method of killing. The other thing to note here, as another piece of evidence why I don't think these are the same establishments, this Freddy's color seems to be much more brown than this one is. The top hat seems to be more black, while this one's top hat is brown as well. It appears to be a different Freddy. So I think these are two different buildings. I think this one comes first. We will let this one play out a little bit more so you can see the child die. It's actually kind of sad. Actually, no. We're going to wait for this for a second. Go back to the timeline here. So that's the earliest building. That murder did not happen here. That's happening here. That's why I paused it. So after the spring shoots malfunction and kill two, I don't know if they'd be guards at this point. They'd just be people using the costume. But it kills the two guards. They become Shadow, Bonnie, and Freddy. And the building closes down because of the malfunction. Which moves us into Fazbear's Family Diner. So this is one people point to a lot as this is the first one. As I said, it was the one that was on the right on that video there. The only animatronic seems to be the original Freddy. But a secondary animatronic is the marionette. He's not possibly present, he's probably definitely there. He doesn't... Well, I'll show you. This is why I paused it. I should turn the volume down too, because prepare for a jump scare. So the child starts dying. All the other ones are really upset. He dies. Purple man jumps up, goes away, and marionette jump scare. That implies, and again, a lot of what Scott does is he just implies stuff. You have to keep this in mind when you're watching anyone's videos, like even like Game Theory's videos. It's all based on what Scott's implying. So, what he's implying there is the child that got murdered at that point possessed the marionette's body. That's why he is most likely at Fazbear's Family Diner, even though we don't see him there. What happens? Marionette kills one child via strangulation. Child still possesses Marionette. I just said that. Evidence for the location. The single room mini game there, and the Marionette jump scare, which I just showed you guys. And also the phone guy. I'll start hearing from him a lot more often. Let me pull in the wiki here. We go to Five Nights at Freddy's 2, Night 4, I do believe. It might be Night 5. Appears to be Night 5. I mean, total up all the nights, there's quite a few. Alright, we're trying to contact the original restaurant owner. I think the name of the place was Fredbear's Family Diner or something like that. It's been closed for years, though, and I doubt we'll be able to track it down. So that's where he confirms that there was a diner before Fazbear Entertainment took over. And he also implies that he probably was not present as a staff member by that point. Which is why I don't have him set as a staff member until Freddy Fazbear's Pizza number 1. Now this is still before any of the games. This is between the diner and Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Because Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is a prequel. The primary animatronics here are original Freddy, Foxy, Chica, and Bonnie. I call them original. You can just call them Freddy, Foxy, Chica, and Bonnie, just to distinguish them from the toy models and withered models and everything else we consider in the game. Freddy was just pulled from Fazbear's Family Diner. All the other ones were added in, except for the Marionette. Marionette is definitely there. He's shown us some minigames, which I will show you in a moment. Golden Freddy is also there. We'll also see that in a moment. Golden Bonnie, is he there? Well, not as an animatronic that's being paraded around, but he's probably in a back room somewhere. He was probably also in a back room in the diner, to be honest. But he's not a main role at all. The murderer kills 5 children, using probably the Golden Freddy suit. It could have been the Springtrap suit. He kills 5 children. Marionette stuffs them into Foxy, Chica, Bonnie, Freddy, and Golden Freddy. A common misconception is that the murderer stuffed them into the animatronics. It's not true. The Marionette did so to give them life, and I'll show you that minigame shortly. Evidence for the location here. Most of the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 minigames are taking place at this location. And Phone Guy was probably definitely a staff member by this point. Alright, so let me track down a minigame. It's probably just the next one in this video, to be honest. Alright, so this is the Foxy Go 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 minigame, is what a lot of us refer to this one as. Let's turn the volume just a little bit up. And this is where Foxy discovers that the children are dead. I don't know why it's zooming in and out like that. It's kind of strange. So Foxy's going to entertain the children. Hooray! There's 5 of them. Get ready. Go, go, go. By the way, all these mini-games are taking place from the animatronics perspective. And that's why they look like Atari games. It's in their very basic AI programming. Oh, look at this. There's a purple guy in here now. That's strange. I'm looking over around. All the kids are dead. Prepare for a jump scare, by the way. Prepare yourself. There you go. So, one thing I want you to notice is the purple band in that video is the same as the one in the first one. I guess I will show you in the video itself, just to confirm it. It's the same model. Same pixel model, I guess I should say, as that one. Just inverted because they're facing different directions, but it's the same one. So it's probably the same guy who killed all those children. Now, a lot of people say this might be Phone Guy who did it. After all, Phone Guy, in one of his logs, I think it was night 2 of Five Nights at Freddy's 2, he says, "Ever see Foxy the Pirate? Um, no, it's night 3 because you asked how you did with Foxy. Like I said, he was always my favorite. So he says Foxy is his favorite, and people have interpreted this to mean, well, maybe that means that because he's standing here in this minigame that it's probably Phone Guy. It's a decent piece of evidence, but there's a lot of evidence that also points to otherwise. I personally do not think Phone Guy is the murderer, and we'll be getting into that soon. Go back to the timeline. So, because of all the murders, they actually continue operating for a little while after the murders, but there starts to be complaints about really bad stench coming from the animatronics, and that's when they discover, oh, the children's bodies were stuffed into these, and they clear them out, and they have to close down. And then Five Nights at Freddy's 2 finally starts. So we're to our first game here. It's 1987. It's not exactly how clear or how long it's been operating. Not very long, though. Probably just a couple weeks, maybe a month. But it hasn't been operating very long. And what they've done is they've made a toy version of every animatronic. Make them look more kid-friendly because they looked really scary before. I use the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 pictures for these because there are no Pizza Restaurant 1 pictures of these animatronics. I just wanted to make sure that it was clear that these are the same ones. But they also make these new toy ones. They have advanced facial recognition software and things like that. Advanced mobility, they mention. To be more kid-friendly and to make the place more secure from keeping any more murderers from happening. They're the only ones who are supposed to be active, but all the original animatronics are in the back room for spare parts, and they partially started to upgrade them before they just gave up. So we have a toy version for every animatronic. Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie, Toy Chica, and Toy Foxy, which later gets renamed to Mangle because the kids destroy her. And one thing I personally noticed, now usually we consider Marionette and Balloon Boy to not really be related, but when I put the pictures side by side like this, showing all the old animatronics getting a new one, I kind of realized that Balloon Boy possibly could be Toy Marionette. There's no real reason that this is important. It just stands out as something that would make sense if he was the toy version of Marionette. Although Marionette is actually supposed to be active with the other ones. He's in prize corner and he gives prizes to children. So during the game, you can watch Five Nights at Freddy's 2 to know what happens in 2. But in this game, the toy animatronics are tampered with by Purple Guy. He sets them off so that their facial recognition software no longer works properly, and they start attacking anyone, any guard, instead of just him. Meanwhile, the other animatronics, the older ones, they've been possessed by children at this point, and that's why they're after you. So both the toy ones and the old ones have reasons to come after you. Mangle is the culprit of the bite of 87, and she probably does it to Jeremy. Now, there's a lot of reasons why Mangle's probably the culprit. A lot of people think maybe it was Foxy. That's what everyone thought when Five Nights at Freddy's 1 happened, because it said he was out of order. We now know that there's a big enough gap here that it probably wasn't him. The other reason is the toy animatronics are the ones that are confiscated by the police after the bite occurs, not the old ones. And that's why the old ones are the ones who are refurbished for Five Nights at Freddy's 1. I imagine that if it had been Foxy who did it, it would have been the old animatronics that were taken, and they would have continued on with the toy ones instead. Another reason is, like I said, the old animatronics are just locked up in the back room. For Foxy to have been able to do it, he would have had to rush out and really attack someone, which is pretty unlikely, and I feel like it would have been more dramatic than just being called the Bite of 87. It's more like an assault if he was to do that. Mangle, meanwhile, her jump scares, she swings down from the ceiling and bites straight towards your head. That also points to her. Another reason it points to her is a file of her pixel self in the minigame is called He Was Here, which somewhat implies that maybe the kids were not the ones to destroy Mangle. It could have been the purple guy, which, as you can imagine, could possibly give Mangle anger issues. She's not possessed. She's just a toy animatronic, which is a little bit more advanced than the others, but that could somehow set her off. And then finally, it's just the fact that she is the most damaged of all the animatronics. She's just a pile of parts if you haven't really looked at Five Nights at Freddy's 2 before. So she might be the most prone to malfunction. And why is it Jeremy? Well, phone guy, night 6. He says, just finish your shift. It's safer than trying to leave in the middle of the night. We have one more event scheduled for tomorrow, a birthday. You'll be on shift. Wear your uniform. Wear your uniform when that seems very important. Because, like I said, the uniform is purple. And that's what part of what triggers the animatronics. Stay close to the animatronics. Make sure they don't hit anyone. So he's shooting him to the day shift, and purple guy's going to take over the night shift. This is also kind of what reveals that it was a prequel to the second game. Although I think Night 5 also touches on that with the diner. Okay, so we have some videos to watch, don't we? Pretty much all of the minigames in Five Nights at Freddy's 2 at this point. Seen the Foxy one here. Prepare for more jump scares in case I don't manage to skip over them. So this is the Freddy Save Them minigame. He's following the marionette. There's a dead child here, apparently. And we see this purple guy start coming towards Freddy. He has something in his hands, we don't know what. And it didn't show it because this guy cropped the video very strangely. But he says, "You can't." And in the background it was saying SAVETHEM, save them. And to which purple guy responds, "You can't." Now the difference is that model for purple guy was different. Look at them. These were the two that we saw before. The one that was watching Foxy, and the one who killed the child that became the marionette. The one in the video we just watched was this one. See, he seems to be holding a phone, and he has a badge. So this is what a lot of people pointed us to as evidence that phone guy was the murderer, is because this guy looks like he's carrying a phone. However, both these pixel models are in the same game, taking place during the same time period. There's no real reason they would see him as this. They wouldn't see him the other way. There's not really a reason why he would be different looking. Unless they're two different people. There's the murderer who's purple. He's definitely one of the guards. That's why he's purple. He's wearing a uniform. As you can see with this one, he's wearing a badge as well, which implies he's probably the head of security, which seems to be Phone Guy's job, because he's always teaching you how to deal with the animatronics, getting you through the night job, etc., etc. So while this is definitely Phone Guy, it does not mean he's a murderer. It does mean that he could possibly be complacent in the murders. He could know that they were going on and be not stopping Purple Man, the murder, because he's obviously trying to stop the animatronics by telling him you can't. But That's a little bit of a mystery. That's what we still don't know, is if it's the purple guy or not. I personally don't think so. There's a lot of evidence that points both ways. But yeah, you know my opinion on it now. This last minigame, do we need to watch it? Yes, we do. This is the one where the marionette gives the children, well, he puts them in the suits. First he gives them gifts, because that's his job. Now, in a minute now. Now he gives them life. Now there's only 4 children here. We saw before that there was 5 that got killed. I don't know if I'll be quick enough to pause the frame. Other people have done it. But you see, put on Freddy, Foxy, Bonnie, Chica, and then very swiftly there's... Okay, so, jump scare. I don't know if I can make it happen, though. I don't think I can pause it in time. I can't pause in time. But behind the Golden Freddy mask here, after he puts the Chica mask on this one, the 5th child does appear before the Golden Freddy jumps out at you. And that's how you know that the 5th child was stuffed in Golden Freddy. And of course that happened at the at this building, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza 1. And then the events of Five Nights at Freddy's 2 happen here, clearly. As for all the evidence here, I don't really need evidence, it's in the game, but just to show you guys, we'll just read like the audio logs. You can go through the audio logs on the wiki if you want. They'll pretty much tell you what happens here. And that'll confirm everything I've said about what the events that happen in Five Nights at Freddy's 2 are. And support the evidence for Mangle and all that stuff. The game ends as you get the paycheck, and it's dated November 30th? Something close to that. Notice of termination. That's Freddy's. There's a few different ones. This one. Oh, excuse me. It's actually November 13th, 1987. $22.10. And so after doing the 6th night, being open only a few short weeks, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is closing its doors. New animatronics will be scrapped due to possible malfunctions. Another hint, that was a toy animatronic, most likely Chica. I mean, not Chica. Mangle that did it, not one of the old ones. Not Foxy. The old ones are being kept in possible reorganization of the company. It's a minor setback. We're confident we will reopen someday, even with its a smaller budget. CEO Fazbear Entertainment. So that's how we know that it takes place in 87. That's how we also know that the next day, day 7, is when Mangle bites Jeremy, which is what closes the building down. There's a roughly 5-year gap, and it's a rough estimate because in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, when you complete the game, let's go back to where we were here. This one, it says 11/13/XX. It doesn't tell you what the specific date is, but it's been reasoned that with the minimum wage estimates and getting $210.50, I mean $120.50, that it was most likely probably around 1992 when it reopens here. They restore the original Freddy, Foxy, Chica, and Bonnie. Golden Freddy is present. The marionette could be present. There's a picture of him that's like a random rare thing that can pop up. He's probably in a back room somewhere, though. And Springtrap is most definitely in the safe room of the building. And that's something that's built in. That's something that starts getting explained in Five Nights at Freddy's 3. But now we're in Five Nights at Freddy's 1 right now. And it doesn't mention Springtrap in the background during that game. Phone guy is killed by Freddy on night 4 because he ran out of power. That's pretty self-explanatory again. With these ones that are in actual locations, there's not as much that I need to explain because you can just watch the videos or go to the wiki and read what happened. There's not really any guesswork that I have to do to explain it. I've also been listing staff members, by the way. There's Phone Guy, Jeremy, Fritz, and an unnamed first night guard that's at Five Nights at Freddy's 2. The unnamed first night guard could be the murderer. There's not really any specific reason it could be, but it's just more like, if it's not Phone Guy, it's probably him. But here it's this Phone Guy and Mike Schmidt. I'm not sure there's anything I need to explain about happening at Five Nights at Freddy's 1. I don't think the building closes down right away. Yeah, this one doesn't end with the newspaper like a couple of the other ones have. So, yeah, it doesn't exactly close right after Mike wins. But it does close at some point. Alright, so now move on to the 30-year gap. The murderer comes back to the Five Nights at Freddy's 1 building because he can't stand the animatronics anymore. He's going insane or something, or driving him nuts. He exploits the safe room to keep from being killed. We'll see more about the safe room here soon. Shadow Freddy lures the animatronics there, knowing it would set the kids' souls free. You can see why I said it would be quite a long time before we heard anything really about the Shadow animatronics. Like I said, they appear in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, but they're kind of just Easter eggs. But Shadow Freddy is very readily in 3, and he lures the animatronics towards the purple guy, knowing that it would set the kids' souls free if the purple man destroyed the animatronics. Which he does, and then because the souls of the children are freed, they start haunting him. They drive him into the Springtrap suit, which kills him. This happens in the 30-year gap. The evidence for this is Scott himself. When Five Nights at Freddy's 3 was being leaked, he put in the source code and stuff 30 years later. I think even the Steam green light, I'm not sure it even shows up in green light anymore, since it's actually released at this point. But I can try to see. I know. 30 years later, so he says it has to paste it all over. It's 30 years later. So that's my evidence for that. And then the mini games will show the murderer's death. Spoilers, by the way. It's a little bit too late for that at this point. But if you're watching the complete timeline theory video, you should probably already know that there's going to be spoilers. So that puts the Five Nights at Freddy's 3 being put at like 2022, if we jump from 30 years after 1992. It's still just an estimate because we're not exactly sure when this is. The only living animatronic really is Springtrap at this point. There's one screen where the marionette seems to be up and active in his original form, but he's also shown with all the other animatronics as being scrapped and no longer useful. But he's probably alive. There's a few reasons for that, and we'll get into them towards the end of this. There's also all the Phantom animatronics: Phantom Foxy, Phantom Freddy, Phantom Chica, Phantom Mangle, Phantom Balloon Boy. I consider them kind of lesser in this because they're not real. They could be the kids' souls, their spirits haunting you. The only thing that kind of throws that off is Mangle and Balloon Boy, because they're not haunted. So that makes it a little bit confusing as to why they're there and the other ones are not. Phone Dude, as we call him, because he's not a phone guy, explains that the place is really old and musty and you're going to start seeing shit. Pretty much. That's his explanation, but it's probably the kid's souls for the most part, other than what I just said. There's no real sense for Mangle and Balloon Boy. And I'm not sure why. Maybe we'll find out at some point. Mangle could possibly be that Jeremy finally passed away at some point. After his death, they said in Five Nights at Freddy's 1 that the human body can survive without the frontal lobe, implying that Jeremy was alive. But maybe he died in the 30-year gap, and that's why Mangle can haunt. But that still leaves Balloon Boy as without an answer. In it, nothing really particular happens. The mini games kind of explain all the plot stuff. The building burns down on night 6. It's blamed on faulty wiring, but it could be that the night guard was just like, F this, and was the first person to actually have the sense to burn the place down. And Springtrap possibly survives, and we'll get into that in a moment. Only two staff members we hear about are Phone Dude. We also have tapes from Phone Guy, but they're from as far back as here. And our unnamed protagonist of the game. So that puts it into our timeline here. I'll still keep it around just in case I need to pop it up to explain more stuff. We can watch the rest of our video. So there's all these different mini games in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I think if I just skip to the last one is a compilation of all of them. Okay, so this one, he spawned into the this mini game, but now you're Shadow Bonnie instead of Freddy and Springtrap. Now, the way to get the good ending in this game is really complicated. You have to go through all these different mini games and complete them in very strange ways. That's how you get the complete ending. But now we have Shadow Bonnie, because remember I said he's also important in this one. Shadow Freddy obviously led the kids to, the animatronics to be destroyed, so that way their souls could be freed. And then Shadow Bonnie here is who you play to truly set the kids' souls free. We'll watch this. We won't watch all the other minigames, but we'll watch this one since it's all the minigames at once, basically. Again, Bonnie's purple. Means he was probably a night guard at some point. This one was a Mangle's Quest was the name of the minigame. This one is Chica's Adventure. To bring cupcakes to children. Mangle's Quest, she had to put herself back together. There's a Balloon Boy one, too. There's the Balloon Boy one. And when you're completing all these minigames, you're making each of the children happy, one by one. The 5 children that were killed. Well, I guess 6 if you count the marionette. Although the marionette doesn't seem to be put to rest, and we'll take a look at that here soon. These guys having a little bit of trouble completing this one. It's really tricky. It's really weird how people figured out how to get the good ending so quickly because it's so convoluted. Maybe he's not going to complete it in this. He might not. This is not my gameplay. But he has to get out and he has to give that last child, a cake. Yeah, he actually didn't finish it. Oh well. You can look it up, this finishing the game and whatnot. But alright. Gonna need Fant 3 newspaper. This is what you get after. I think you have to get the good ending and finish nightmare mode to get this. This one. That's where fright burns to the ground. Local attraction based on ancient pizzeria burned down overnight. Authorities have not ruled out foul play, but at the moment it seems to have been caused by faulty wiring. Very little was found at the scene, and the few items that were salvaged will be sold at public auction. If we find an image, we might not be able to. Kind of weird, because usually, okay, yeah, here's one. If you mess with the gamma and brightness settings, you can see that Springtrap's in the background here, suggesting that possibly he did not die in the fire. So, we also need to look at Fant 3 bad ending screen. You get the bad ending, which is pretty easy to do. All the animatronics heads, because they've been, like I said, they were dismantled by Purple Guy between the Five Nights at Freddy's 1 and 3. Freddy, Foxy, Chica, and Bonnie, and Golden Freddy all still have their lights on. They're not put to rest. You get the good ending. They're all dark. You can't even see Golden Freddy, so it's questionable if he's actually even there, but since he's in the background and really hard to see here anyway, he could possibly not be there. The important thing is that the marionette isn't in either of these. The marionette's still out there. He's still restless for some reason. And it could be that it's assuming that Springtrap did not actually die, even though these ones got their, but we actually didn't see that. That video didn't have all the minigames. It didn't have the in-between games. We'll have to go look up this one on YouTube. Although having YouTube and YouTube would not really be very productive now, would it? But anyway, this is the minigame after the purple guy kills all the animatronics. Their souls get set free, as I said, and he runs into this room to try to get away from the kids because he's terrified of them. You play as this child and chase him back and forth, and he's really scared of you, and he rushes towards the Springtrap suit, climbs into him, and starts laughing before the Springtrap sets off and kills him. And of course that happened between the two games. I think I've talked about everything at this point. Like I said, there's a lot of content that I didn't cover that's mostly just what happens in Five Nights at Freddy's 1, 2, and 3. You can watch them. Most of what I explained here is stuff that isn't explained in the games, or you have to deduce from playing the games. If I think of more things, I will make another video about it. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. Until next time, I hope you all have a good day.